I don't know how to approach the show, because for all of its failings, my first complaint with it has almost nothing to do with the show itself. Let's start with what it is. Glenn Martin DDS is a stop-motion cartoon that's audience was somewhere between The Simpsons and Family Guy, and although it aired on Nickelodeon, I don't think that it's considered an official Nicktoon. But maybe that's because it was originally aired in the kids' space right after SpongeBob. So a lot of little kids saw this show, and it's not at all appropriate for them. That's not the show's fault, it's just Nickelodeon being Nickelodeon. Then again, Glenn Martin seems a bit too raunchy and out of place, even for their adult shows. I mean, a show that had an episode about a kid learning that his special talent was shoving his head in an elephant's ass doesn't seem like it could be played back to back with Home Improvement. I guess I'll be treating it as a family show that might have aired on Fox? Whatever, how does the first episode begin?
We interrupt this cleaning for a special report. We're live on the scene with Dominga.
I know that stop motion is usually out of the budget for television shows, but I think that you could do a little better on those puppets. No, actually, these are the puppets of a puppet. And apparently this is funny enough for the laugh track to start up. I need to address this now. The laugh track never shuts up. It is the background music for literally a quarter of the episode. That doesn't sound like much, but trust me, it gets very grating very fast. It gets even more annoying when it's soundtracked to jokes that are not funny. And trust me, none of the jokes in this episode are. I hear that the laugh track was canned like 8 episodes in, but no, they should have known better. They should have never used the laugh track to begin with. For one, this is an animated show. I know that they don't have a live studio audience. Everyone knows that they don't have a live studio audience. I mean, when the Flintstones did it, they can get away with it because it was the first animated sitcom, and that was a staple of the genre of sitcoms. But no animated sitcoms this day and age, hell, no animated shows period, have laugh tracks anymore. The Simpsons don't, Family Guy doesn't, and Glenn Martin shouldn't. I mean, the very first time the laugh track plays is a joke that's purposely meant to be bad and not funny, to show that the kid in the dentist chair is stupid and will laugh at lazy comedy. Also, this wasn't the first episode that was aired despite being the first episode of the show because it was particularly horrible. I know this because this is the episode that kickstarts the overarching plot and is important to see first if you want to understand the concept of the show. Glenn Martin here is doing some dentistry when a kid bites off his finger, and there's some badly animated blood everywhere. He reaches for his finger and pushes his hand out of the boy's ass. It's going to be a very, very long episode. Honestly, this probably isn't funny because the art style doesn't allow it to be. Yes, immediately the show's novelty, being stop motion, works against it. The blood is badly animated, and the expressions aren't cartoonish enough to make this funny. Glenn goes to see his doctor, who mentions that he's retiring.
Keep me in stitches. See you next time.
The wife and I are moving to Fiji. Gonna live the dream.
I feel really sorry for that country. Literally, its only exposure seems to be through terrible animation.
Have to live every moment like it's your...
Oh goody, you're already trying to make a sudden heart attack funny. Just stop trying already, please. This turns out to be totally pointless because the doctor lives. What was the point of any of this? I mean, yeah, at first it seems like it has a purpose, which it doesn't, and I'll get to that later, of kickstarting Glenn's delusions of wanting to live the most out of his life. But the death, not death, wasn't necessary. It might have been funny, though, if Glenn's jokes weren't so stupid.
He was my black friend, which made me feel better about myself. Oh, come on, Rudy.
Glenn comes home and we get introduced to our terrible cast for the evening. We got the preteen daughter who treats her life like a business. I don't get her gimmick.
I hear that wheezing, but you know my rule. I don't give inhalers back to weak people. New assistant.
Oh yeah, the thought of someone with asthma suffocating to death. That's the way to make me like this character. Next, Glenn sees his son, Chris Griffin. I mean Connor.
Dad, I'm so hard right now.
Oh, wait.
I mean Chris Griffin. Moving on. The adults in the family are the sitcom, I'd call them staples, but at this point, they are the most cliched thing in history. Glenn Martin is the dumbass dad, and his wife is the woman too good for him. Get ready because this mini rant is going to go on for quite a while. Homer Simpson, Peter Griffin, Stan Smith, Goofy, Mr. Turner, Jack Fenton, Oscar Proud, Hugh Neutron, Dick Daring, Billy's dad from Billy and Mandy, Richard from Gumball, Bob Oblong, Fred Flintstone, Tim Taylor, Raymond, hell, why am I even going on? Literally every sitcom and commercial since 1992. This cliche has been beaten to a pulp, buried into the ground, grown into a poison oak tree, been cut down, and burnt into toxic fumes. Just stop it. There is nothing new you can do with this character type. Literally, everything has been done by Homer Simpson alone. He's done virtually everything you can do with the idiotic father trope 3 times over. You cannot make it funny anymore. You cannot make it unique anymore. It might not be so bad if it wasn't fucking everywhere. This isn't a sitcom template. It's a stock and boring cliche. Yes, I know that it was originally meant to subvert a cliche of the mother being the idiot and the father being down to earth. It doesn't fucking matter anymore. Sorry about that. That one's been boiling up in me for a while now. Just please stop this cliche. And we get to the final member of the family, the dog. If you remember anything about this show that isn't the laugh track, it'll be this dog. He has a giant anus. This is a running joke throughout the entire series, and is the only character trait about him. While they fixed the laugh track, they never let this dog out in the woods. It's gross, and worst of all, it's completely pointless. Chris Griffin is looking at satellite photos to see someone naked, but Homer Simpson, being the wonderful father he is, tells him to look out the window and see their neighbor in the shower. Yes, he is telling his son to commit a crime and peep on the neighbors. You know how in certain sitcoms that cliche where they'll have that one joke where one person is talking about one thing and another person is talking about another one and their conversations kind of get confused? It doesn't work if Ray Romano here knows what Chris Griffin is actually talking about.
What's that all about?
What's Singer Park all about? Well, it's only the crucible of my adolescence.
How the hell do you screw that up? It's one thing to use cliches, but it's an entirely different thing to screw up the cliches. It's a special level of incompetence. At the very least, it gives us important story details. Glenn wants to go to Singer Park to see a tree. That's about it. Sure, it's an important tree to him, but he wants to go across the country to see a fucking tree. The next morning, Glenn surprises them with an RV. None of his family wants to go on the trip because they're not the dumbass dad. Hurdy, hurdy, her. That's our father. He's such an idiot. He gives a speech about teeth. Did you get it? No, you didn't? Well, the joke is that he's a dentist. Oh yeah, we got our final cast member, Courtney's new assistant, Wendy. She does almost nothing this entire episode and could have been written out of the show completely. All she ever does is parrot Courtney. And having 2 Courtneys doesn't make the bratty daughter any less cliche. Also, this completely pointless trip cost the Martins their home. Completely because of Glenn, because hurdy hurdy her, that's our father. He's an idiot. We have another joke about the dog's anus, one that they thought was so good that they decided to use it in the intro. Then there's another joke about Chris Griffin being awkward. Another joke about Courtney treating her life like a business. I still don't get it. Yeah, it's important to introduce your characters in the first episode, but you've got to have more variety than this. Give me more than just one defining trait. We see that the RV takes up a lot of fuel, and he's stopped by some environmentalists.
Yeah, we could leave these nice gentlemen to their business.
Gentlemen?
Jeez.
Family Guy did it first. Just like Family Guy did everything the show did first. Then Peter Griffin's stupid driving breaks all of their cars because hurdy hurdy her, that's our father. He's an idiot. Also, you change bikers' motorcycles to environmentalist cars, and that still leads to a mad biker chase. You need to change more than that to subvert a cliche. First of all, it needs to make sense on some level. Like, if nothing else, I'm sure that shotguns are bad for the environment. Why is the laugh track playing during an action scene? I mean, beyond the obvious of none of the jokes being funny, why would you play a laugh track when the family is being shot at during a highway chase? That's not a joke. When the tire falls out, the entire family starts complaining specifically at Glenn. He wants to selfishly keep going because, well, the episode says that it's to bring the family together. But no. If you remember, he took his family out of their lives without telling them, suddenly, to go on a 1,000-mile trip to see a tree that's important to him and only him. Not even the wife, just him. I'd feel really bad for his family if I could have feelings for them. Glenn tells everyone to sit around quietly, and so they do. Then he tries to get everyone to talk again because hurdy-durdy-dur, that's our father. He's an idiot. He's upset even though he got what he wanted. I firmly believe that if I keep saying this as obnoxiously as possible, every time a dumbass dad makes a dumbass dad joke, people will stop doing it. It hasn't worked so far.
Guy, come on, what's wrong with you people? This is supposed to be fun. Fun!
Is that like when a doctor says that an injection isn't going to hurt, but they accidentally stab into a nerve and then your whole arm is in pain? Because that's what this feels like. It feels like my whole arm is in pain. So Glenn finds out that the house burnt down, and he doesn't seem to care. Anything to see that fucking tree. Then the tire falls off and they're only remaining home because Hugh Neutron here did a piss poor job fixing the tire. They end up crashing into a courthouse, and I've heard of ass kissing, but this is disgusting. Since they crashed into a courthouse, the judge sentences Glenn to clean up all the teeth in town because they'd never had a dentist there before. Since they're on a really strict time limit, they all need to come together to make Glenn's selfish delusion a reality.
I just wanted to see that magnificent tree one last time.
And it cost you your home, your clean criminal record, and your family's happiness. How do you sleep at night, asshole?
And the day I fell in love with your mother.
But he's telling the story to his wife. Wow, lack of proofreading in your pilot script is giving me some creepy thoughts right now. They all work together and help Glenn for some reason. Yeah, they all suddenly have a change of heart, despite none of them even being taken into consideration at one point during this whole episode. They just suddenly have a change of heart. With all the members contributing their talents, meaning another glance at the dog's ass, they make it to the park to find out that the tree was torn down in 2003. This whole episode was pointless. This show was pointless. The loss of Glenn's house and their family's typical lives was pointless. Not that they seem to mind. They all spout some bullshit that doesn't make any sense and completely contradict everything about them from the rest of the episode. Yeah, let's support the asshole who got our house burnt down and took us from our lives. Let's keep our kids out of school. Let's convince our daughter not to worry about college. I'm done here. Father of the Year, Glenn. Father of the Year.
You'll be a dentist. You have a talent for causing things. Son, be a dentist. People will pay you to be inhumane. Your temperament's wrong for the priesthood, and teaching would suit you still less. Son, be a dentist. You'll be a success.